Doctorarjaybe here, and I wanted to discuss a little bit about the microbiome. Uh, what we mean by the microbiome are the bacteria that we live with. There are bacteria on our skin, there's bacteria in our mouth, there's bacteria in our colon. Usually when they're talking about the microbiome, they're usually talking about the bacteria that are in our colon. When we have a bowel movement, when we pass the waste, the weight of that is 90% bacteria. So there's a ton of bacteria that's living inside our bowel every day, and they do provide some benefits. Our ability to make certain vitamins like B12 and vitamin K, we need some of those bacteria to help us with our digestion, and they kind of make it easier for us to have certain vitamins and nutrients in our diet. They also help us break down the foods a little bit further. Now, they've done a study with rats to kind of look at the necessary function of this microbiome. And they produced a rat that was sterile at birth with no bacteria present. And they gave it the food and checked its weight all the time. And then they took the rat and then they gave it the normal bacteria. Now, I should say the rat, but it's usually like hundreds of rats that they do these experiments on, so that they have a good average of what's going on. What they found basically was that when they added the bacteria, the rats seemed to get 30% more calories out of the food. So the bacteria were helping to break down the food and giving the rat more energy or calories from the food. So by doing this, the rat became healthier. And just like that, our microbiome does help us with our digestive process. Like I said, there are some of the vitamins that they help us with, and they allow us to get certain nutrients out of the food, that have been left over in the digestive process. Now, because they are helpful, you want to treat them nicely. And so basically what they need to grow is fiber. So by eating a diet that's high in fruits and vegetables and whole grains, you give them plenty of fiber for them to use as energy. They basically take the fiber, which is basically a carbohydrate that we can't digest, and they break it down and use it for their own energy needs. If you take something like wood, wood is basically is like undigestible to us. The animals that can eat wood usually have special bacteria that can break down the wood and pull the chains apart so that they can basically get energy from the wood. So let's just say you're an elephant and you're eating bark off the tree. That material to us would be, totally a waste, but the elephant can eat that bark and get some energy from it. You're a cow and you got special bacteria in your gut, which helps you to break down grass. Again, grass is really indigestible to us, but the cow can break it down because of those bacteria. Likewise, our bacteria help us with some of the digestive processes. We don't have 4 stomachs like the cow does, but we do have a bowel that's loaded with bacteria, and they can help us to break down our food. Like I said, about 30% more calories can come from having a good bacteria down there. So if you're in a situation where your gut is being wiped out by massive diarrhea, you're not going to be taking in a lot of calories, and you might lose weight. Now, I mentioned fruits and vegetables, and one thing with this too is the fact that there are 2 types of bacteria. There's putrefying bacteria and fermenting bacteria. The putrefying bacteria are the ones that break down meat and fat. And the fermenting bacteria are the ones that break down stuff like grains, fruits, and vegetables. Why is this important? My example is this. If you take a steak and you put it on your counter, and then you leave on vacation, and you come back home, the kitchen is going to smell so horrible you can't even go into it. But now you take a orange and you put it on the counter, and you go on vacation for 2 or 3 weeks, you come back home, and your kitchen is going to smell sweet. Because what you've just done is you've made wine out of the orange juice that's inside the orange. And that doesn't have a horrible smell, it has a sweet smell. Now the orange may look pretty horrible. It may have this bluish mold over it, but guess what? The blue mold is actually penicillin. That's how they used to make penicillin in the old days. They took the penicillin mold and they put it on fruits and grew it in containers, and then the chemical that was released by that mold was concentrated, and that was our penicillin that we use for antibiotic. So these bacteria help us in many cases. In our body, they help us by helping us to digest our food, like I mentioned. And they also help to suppress the bad bacteria, the putrefying bacteria. So if you basically have a lot of the fermenting bacteria that can kind of, keep the putrefying bacteria in check, you have a nice healthy microbiome. If you have way too many putrefying bacteria, sometimes not as good, because you're going to have stomach upset, you're going to have gas problems, odor, etc. So it's always important to make sure you get plenty of fruits and vegetables in your diet, plenty of bran or fiber from the grains. So try to have whole grain foods, fruits and vegetables to feed the little bacterias, and that should help out. But don't forget, some of the foods that we eat are fermented. You take a cucumber and you ferment it, you got a pickle. You take cabbage and you ferment it, you got sauerkraut. Take some milk, you ferment it, you got yogurt. So fermenting bacteria really don't cause a lot of harm. We drink wine, we drink beer. These are fermented products, of course, and they're safe for us to drink, even if you have to be careful about the quantity. So, any event, that's a little bit about the microbiome. Hope you liked it, and check some other videos.